The air feels heavy, like a storm waiting to break. You can almost hear the silence pressing down, broken only by the sound of footsteps. A man's voice cuts through the dark, strong and unshaken. Rebecca. It's time someone finally challenged you. The tension rises instantly, pulling us into a world where power is everything, and one wrong move can destroy a name forever. And Landman challenges are not just games. They are battles for survival. The camera lingers on a dimly lit room, shadows stretching across the walls. A long wooden table sits in the center, papers scattered, the surface scarred by years of secrets and deals. We never see faces, only hands, movements, and silhouettes. Cooper stands at one end, his figure framed by a single light hanging above. His presence fills the space, not through his face, but through the firmness of his voice and the sharp stillness in the air. Rebecca sits opposite, calm and collected, tapping her fingers lightly against the table. Her rhythm is slow, deliberate, like someone who has always been in control. Around them, the outlines of others can be seen, observers, silent witnesses to the storm that is about to unfold. They whisper in hushed tones, their voices carrying both curiosity and fear. The silence stretches until Cooper finally leans forward. His voice is steady, but carries a sharp edge, like a blade pressed against glass. For too long, Rebecca, you've played your games in Landman, but tonight those games end. The words echo across the room, and the atmosphere shifts. A ripple of unease spreads among the faceless crowd. Rebecca doesn't flinch. Her hand pauses mid-tap before slowly curling into a fist. She doesn't raise her voice, but the chill in her tone commands attention. You think you can challenge me, Cooper? Do you even understand what that means? The camera moves closer, not to her face, but to the curve of her hand gripping the edge of the table. Her knuckles pale under the weight of hidden emotion. Cooper straightens, his shadow stretching further across the wooden floor. I know exactly what it means, and I'm not afraid. The crowd stirs again. Some lean back, uncomfortable with the heat of the moment, while others lean in, hungry to witness a clash no one dared to start until now. The air grows colder, the silence sharper. Every movement feels like the start of a war. Rebecca leans forward, her silhouette framed by the dim light. You should be afraid. Her words cut slow, almost like a warning, but Cooper doesn't move. He doesn't blink. His voice, calm and unwavering, slices back. Fear is what keeps everyone else in line. I'm not everyone else. A gust of wind rattles the windows, almost as if the world outside has joined in the tension. The light flickers, and the room feels smaller, tighter, like it can barely contain the weight of what is unfolding at this moment. The challenge is no longer a whisper in the shadows. It is real, alive, and dangerous. The silence that follows is louder than any shout, and every eye in the room fixes on the two figures. For the first time, Rebecca is not the one in control. The screen slowly fades to black as the narrator's voice rises again. In Landman, power isn't given, it's taken. And when Cooper steps forward, even Rebecca must face the storm. The silence lingers long after Cooper's words, like smoke that refuses to fade. The faceless crowd sits frozen, eyes locked on the space between the two shadows at the table. In this silence, the world of Landman breathes, dark, restless, alive with unspoken rules. This is not just a place. It's an empire built on pride, secrets, and the hunger for control. Every deal struck here carries blood. Every alliance comes with betrayal. And every leader knows their time at the top is only temporary. The camera shifts, slowly revealing fragments of Landman's world. A distant oil field under the night sky, its metal skeletons creaking as they pump life from the earth. Flickering lights from a towering building where deals are made in whispers and fortunes disappear overnight. A dusty road winding through the outskirts, where workers bend their backs under the weight of promises they'll never see fulfilled. Landman is not just a place, it is power alive in every shadow. It's waiting to swallow anyone who dares to stand against it. Back in the dim room, the air is thick. Rebecca's fingers return to their steady rhythm, the faint tapping against the table a reminder of her control. She has ruled Landman not by chance, but by design. She knows every weakness, every blind spot, every hidden secret that others would rather bury. She has learned to wear silence like armor and to speak words that strike deeper than any weapon. To the crowd, Rebecca is untouchable. To Cooper, she is a wall that must be broken. Cooper's figure leans back in his chair, his hand steady on the table's surface. He is not reckless, though his challenge might seem so. His voice, his posture, his silence, it all carries purpose. He is not here to play Rebecca's games. He is here to end them, and that thought unsettles the quiet confidence Rebecca has built her empire upon. The camera shows glimpses of the onlookers, though never their faces. A hand clenches tightly around a glass. Another shifts nervously, tapping a pen against paper. A pair of shoulders tense, caught between awe and fear of what might happen next. These faceless figures represent Landman itself, a network of watchers. Followers and betrayers, always shifting, never loyal to one person for long. Rebecca breaks the silence. Her voice, low and sharp, cuts through the heavy air. Landman does not bend for challengers, Cooper. It swallows them whole. Her words echo, heavy with threat. But beneath them lies a flicker of something else, a shadow of caution, barely hidden. Cooper does not answer immediately. Instead, he lets the silence sit, his presence filling the space where words might have been. Finally, his tone carries the weight of certainty. Then maybe it's time someone stopped feeding the beast. The crowd reacts, restless now. Whispers rise, sharp and hurried, like sparks before a fire. The unspoken truth fills the room. This is not just a clash of two figures. It is the start of something bigger, a war for control. A shift in Landman's future. The camera pulls back, showing the table once more, the papers scattered across it like broken pieces of the world they fight to control. Two figures remain unshaken, shadows of power locked in silence. While the faceless crowd waits for the storm that is certain to come, a narrator's voice returns. Steady, deliberate, haunting, Landman has seen challengers before, but never like this. Cooper's stand is more than defiance, it is the spark that could burn everything Rebecca has built. And in Landman, sparks don't die quietly. The scene fades, leaving only the sound of the wind against the windows. Like a warning from the world outside, the air inside the room is like glass fragile, ready to shatter with one wrong word. Every figure seated at the long wooden table waits, breaths shallow, eyes fixed on the two shadows locked across from each other. Cooper leans forward, his voice steady, controlled, but carrying enough weight to shake the silence that Rebecca has carefully built around herself. "Rebecca," he says, his tone sharp as steel. "Your reign in Landman is built on fear, not respect, and fear doesn't last forever." The words slice the air. The faceless crowd shifts uneasily, the sound of chairs scraping against the floor, echoing like thunder in the tense silence. A hand tightens on a glass until it almost cracks. A pen stops mid-stroke. No one dares to speak, but every silent figure knows the truth. Cooper has just done the unthinkable. He has spoken aloud what others only whispered in shadows. Rebecca doesn't move at first. She sits perfectly still, her silhouette calm, almost frozen. Then her hand resumes its slow tapping on the table, steady, deliberate, a reminder of her unbroken control. When she finally speaks, her voice is low, smooth, but laced with venom. "Careful, Cooper. Words like that don't just challenge me. They condemn you." The camera lingers on her hand, tightening ever so slightly around the edge of the table. A subtle gesture, but enough to reveal the storm beneath her calm surface. Cooper notices, and his voice hardens. "I'm not afraid of condemnation. I'm afraid of silence. And for too long, Landman has stayed silent under your rule." The tension explodes in the room. The crowd begins whispering again, voices overlapping, some anxious, some eager, all caught in the fire of the moment. The faceless figures tilt their heads closer, shadows leaning forward as if they don't want to miss a single word. Rebecca leans back in her chair. the dim light outlining her silhouette in sharp edges. "Do you even understand what you've just done?" she asks, her tone mocking yet heavy with threat. "This is not a child's game. To challenge me here is to declare war." Cooper's shadow doesn't waver. He stands, slow but deliberate, his figure casting across the table until it stretches over the scattered papers, blotting them in darkness. Then let it be war. A single glass drops to the floor, shattering in the silence that follows. The sound is like a signal, a marker of no return. The faceless crowd jerks at the noise, their reactions sharp, startled, almost fearful of what is now inevitable. Rebecca tilts her head, the tapping of her fingers finally stopping. For the first time, her calm falters. A pause. A silence heavy enough to feel like a weight pressing down on every chest in the room. Then, softly, but with a sharpness that cuts through the air, she whispers, "You'll regret this." Cooper's reply is immediate, unflinching. "Only if I lose." The camera pans out, showing the entire table. The two figures locked in a battle of shadows, their voices echoing against the walls like the first shots of war. The faceless crowd leans in, torn between fear and fascination. Some hide in silence, while others burn with curiosity, waiting to see which figure will fall. The narrator's voice slips back into the scene, heavy and dramatic, and so the line was drawn. Cooper's challenge was no longer a whisper, but a fire. In Landman, where power thrives in silence, his defiance is the loudest sound anyone has ever heard. And now, Rebecca must answer. The scene fades to black, leaving only the sound of a heartbeat echoing faster and louder. As if belonging to the entire room, the glass still lies shattered on the floor, its fragments glinting faintly under the hanging light. The silence it left behind is louder than any voice. The faceless crowd doesn't move, as if frozen in time, waiting to see how Rebecca will strike back. For years, she has ruled Landman with words sharp enough to cut and silence heavy enough to choke. Now, with Cooper's challenge hanging in the air like smoke, the room tilts toward her. Every figure, every shadow, leans in to see how she will answer. Rebecca's hand, once steady in its rhythm, now curls against the edge of the table. The camera lingers on her silhouette, the subtle arch of her shoulders, the faint tilt of her head. She is still calm, but not untouched. Her power lies in control, and control is what she refuses to lose. Then her voice breaks the silence. It's soft at first, a whisper that forces everyone to lean in closer. "Do you think you're the first to stand against me, Cooper?" The words drip with mockery, yet behind them there's a sharp edge, the kind that warns of danger. She pauses, letting the weight of her question fill the room before continuing. Landman is littered with challengers who thought they could win. Where are they now? Gone, forgotten, buried beneath the empire I built? The faceless crowd stirs, whispering like restless ghosts. Some nod in agreement, others remain silent, unsettled by the cracks Cooper has forced into Rebecca's armor. The camera cuts to hands folding, glasses trembling, silhouettes shifting. Every movement shows the tension winding tighter. Rebecca leans forward now, her voice no longer soft, but sharp, cutting through the air like a blade. "You speak of fear as if it is weakness. But fear, Cooper, is strength. Fear keeps people in line. Fear builds empires. Without fear, Landman collapses." Her words hang heavy, echoing against the wooden walls. For the first time, her tone isn't just commanding, it's defensive. She doesn't admit it, but the fact that she must explain herself at all is a small victory for Cooper. The camera shifts to Cooper's shadow. He doesn't speak, not yet. His silence is deliberate, his stillness a weapon. Rebecca notices. Her voice grows sharper, faster, as if she needs to fill the space he leaves behind. "You think you're different? You think you can stand against me? You'll be crushed, just like the others." That is the way of Landman. The crowd reacts again, whispers rising louder now, as if feeding off the clash. Some figures lean toward Rebecca, their shadows showing loyalty. Others lean back, uncertain, their silence speaking louder than their words. Rebecca finally slams her hand against the table. The sound cracks through the silence, sharp and sudden, making the room flinch. Her silhouette rises slightly, her figure looming larger under the dim light. "You dare to stand against me, Cooper? Then you've chosen your grave." But in that moment, just for a breath, her hand trembles before she pulls it back. A small detail, almost invisible, but enough to betray the truth. Cooper's challenge has unsettled her. For the first time in years, Rebecca's power is not absolute. The camera pulls slowly away from the table, showing both figures locked in their silent war. Rebecca stands strong, her words like knives. But the crack in her armor is real, and those watching can sense it. The narrator's voice returns. "Deep and steady," Rebecca answers, sharp and unyielding. But beneath her steel, a shadow forms. For power built on fear can be shaken. And Cooper has struck the first blow. The scene fades to black, leaving only the echo of Rebecca's hand against the table. A sound that refuses to die. The echo of Rebecca's hand against the table still lingers, a sharp reminder of her fury. But silence falls once more, and in that silence, something shifts. The balance of the room tilts, not toward Rebecca as it always has, but toward the figure across from her, Cooper, still standing, still unshaken. His shadow stretches long across the floor, brushing against Rebecca's side of the table like an unspoken claim. The faceless crowd senses it too. A nervous murmur ripples through them, some leaning forward as if pulled by Cooper's defiance, others shrinking back into the comfort of Rebecca's dominance. Every whisper, every shuffle of movement, feeds the tension that now coils around the room like smoke. Rebecca leans closer, her voice low, her words dripping with venom. "You think silence makes you powerful, Cooper? No, it makes you foolish. Speak while you can, because soon you won't have the chance." Her tone is cold, every syllable meant to slice through him. To strip him of the control, she refuses to surrender. Cooper doesn't hesitate. His voice cuts through the air, calm but firm, carrying weight without needing to rise. "You built your throne on fear, Rebecca. But fear doesn't last. Respect does, and you've run out of respect." The crowd reacts, a sharp intake of breath, a rustle of movement. A glass tips over, spilling liquid across the table, like blood on wood. The sound of it dripping to the floor fills the silence, slow rhythm that seems to mark the seconds of the confrontation. Rebecca's silhouette stiffens. Her fingers curl tightly around the arm of her chair, nails scraping against the wood. She forces a small laugh, sharp and hollow. "Respect? You speak of respect as if it has value here. Respect doesn't hold Landman together. Power does. And I am power." But Cooper steps forward, his shadow swallowing the space between them. Power is nothing without truth. And the truth, Rebecca, is that Landman is cracking. People are no longer afraid. They're waiting for someone to stand. I am that someone. The faceless crowd erupts into whispers again, louder this time, voices overlapping in chaos. The camera lingers on their hands, clenched fists, restless movements, tapping fingers, every gesture a sign of unease. They are not just watching a conflict. They are watching the possibility of change. Rebecca rises halfway from her chair, her silhouette sharp under the flickering light. "You dare to speak for them? You think you understand this world better than I do? I created Landman." Her voice rises, filled with fire, her controls slipping with every word. Cooper doesn't move, doesn't blink. His reply is steady, unwavering. "Then maybe it's time Landman was taken back from you." The crowd falls silent again, stunned. The weight of his words hangs heavy in the air, pressing against every figure in the room. For the first time, Rebecca isn't the only voice that matters. Her hands tremble faintly, but she clenches them tight, forcing the weakness back into the shadows. Her voice steadies, though her tone is sharper, more dangerous. "You don't know the cost of what you're saying. Landman destroys those who fight it, and it will destroy you." Cooper leans closer, his shadow almost touching hers across the table. "Then let it try." The room holds its breath. The faceless crowd is caught in the gravity of the moment, pulled between the woman who has ruled them with fear and the man who dares to defy her with truth. The tension hums like a storm about to break. and the smallest sound could shatter the fragile silence. The narrator's voice enters, deep and deliberate. The walls of Landman tremble as the clash sharpens. Rebecca's fury rises, Cooper's resolve hardens, and the room becomes a battlefield of shadows. The game of silence is over. The war of words has begun. The scene fades slowly, leaving only the echo of dripping liquid on the floor, steady, relentless, like time counting down to an explosion. The room holds its breath. The whispers of the faceless crowd have quieted, as though the walls themselves lean in to listen. Rebecca stands half-risen, her silhouette sharp against the flickering light, her voice still echoing in the air like a blade. Cooper remains steady, unmoved, his shadow stretching longer across the table, swallowing papers and spilling across Rebecca's side like a claim of dominance. But then Cooper speaks again. His tone is calm, but beneath it lies something new, something heavier. A quiet certainty that makes the air grow colder. You talk about power, Rebecca? About fear. But power means nothing when it's built on lies. Rebecca's hand freezes on the edge of her chair. The crowd shifts uneasily, sensing a change in the rhythm of the battle. Cooper leans closer, his voice cutting sharp through the silence. I know your secret. The words strike like thunder. Gasps ripple through the faceless figures. A glass slips from someone's hand and crashes against the floor, the shards scattering like the truth Cooper has just unleashed. Rebecca doesn't move. She doesn't speak. Her silence is louder than denial. Her silhouette stiffens, shoulders tightening, fingers curling into a fist against the table. The camera lingers on her stillness, showing not strength, but the crack Cooper is forced into her armor. Cooper continues, his tone unyielding. You've hidden it well. You've built walls, buried it under fear, silenced anyone who came too close. But secrets don't stay buried forever. And yours. His voice lowers, carrying weight like a storm ready to break. Yours is the weakness that will tear Landman apart. The faceless crowd reacts violently, whispers rise. Overlapping in panic and shock, like waves crashing against each other.